In the quiet, dusty town of Arua, far from the big cities and bright lights, three boys ran barefoot through the streets. Their names were Tay, Kahind, and Adele. They were not just brothers, they were triplets. Born on the same day, only minutes apart, they looked so alike that people often mixed them up. But if you watched closely, you could see the differences. Tay, the firstborn, acted like the leader. He was brave and quick to make decisions. Kahind, the second, was more quiet. He thought before he spoke, and always watched everything. Idao, the last, was the jokester. He liked to laugh, make fun, and bring joy to his brothers. The three boys had grown up in poverty. Their small house had a leaking roof and only one mattress to share. Their clothes were old and patched, and they walked everywhere without shoes. They didn't go to school because their mother couldn't afford it. But they had each other, and that was something money couldn't buy. Every morning, as the sun rose over the town, the boys set out with one goal: to survive the day. They would go to the main road, where cars passed through, and offer to wash windscreens. Sometimes they sold pure water in small sachets. Other times, they helped market women carry heavy loads for a few naira. Life was hard, but they didn't complain much. They made games out of their struggles. They would race to see who could sell water fastest. They counted clouds and made jokes about rich people's cars. Even with empty stomachs, they kept their smiles. Their mother, Mama Ronk, was a strong woman who worked from morning till night. She sold bean cakes by the roadside. She loved her sons deeply, but life had dealt her a tough hand. When the boys asked about their father, her face would change. "Your father was a good man," she'd say softly, "but he left before you were born. Maybe he didn't know I was pregnant. Maybe he got scared. But one day, my children, the truth will knock." The triplets didn't talk much about it. They didn't know what it meant to have a father. Other kids had the men who walked them to school, brought home bread, or carried them on their shoulders. But for Tay, Kahind, and Ida, their father was just a shadow in their mother's story. Still, they believed her words: one day, the truth will knock. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more emotional stories like this. The sun in Arua was harsh, like it wanted to test everyone's strength. By mid-morning, the heat would bake the ground, and dust rose from the roads with every passing car. It wasn't easy to live there, especially when you were young and poor. But Tay, Kahind, and Ida had grown used to it. They were not just poor in money, they were rich in courage. Every day, the triplets woke up early, even before the cock crowed. Their house was tiny, made of wood and mud. They had no electricity, so they used candles at night. There was no bathroom inside. If they wanted water, they had to fetch it from a faraway well. Their breakfast, if they had any, was simple: maybe leftover pap or a piece of akara their mother saved for them. But hunger had become a friend they learned to live with. They never begged. Their mother had taught them better. Don't beg. Work. Even if you earn 1 naira, earn it with your hands, she always said. So they worked every single day. They had a small spot near the main road where cars and trucks passed by. That was their office. With old rags, a plastic bucket, and sachets of water, they offered to clean windscreens. Some drivers smiled and gave them money. Others shouted or ignored them. But the boys never gave up. They laughed through rejection and kept trying the next car. At noon, they'd run to the market. There, they helped women carry goods: baskets of tomatoes, sacks of rice, crates of soft drinks. The women liked them, my triplet boys, they would say, tossing them coins and sometimes food. When they were tired, they sat under a mango tree and shared everything they had. 1 bottle of water, 3 mouths, 1 piece of bread, 3 bites. Even when they had nothing, they always found a way to smile. They made jokes about drivers with big stomachs or women with loud voices. Ida would do funny dances that made people laugh. Kahin would sing silly songs. Tay would tell stories of how one day they'd become rich, maybe footballers, maybe actors, or even owners of big cars. They didn't have dreams of gold and diamonds. They just wanted to eat every day, wear clean clothes, and maybe, just maybe, have a man to call daddy. But that was just a dream. For now, their world was the street, the dust, the traffic, and each other. They didn't know that life was about to change, that in just one moment everything would be different. At the end of each day, after running, working, and laughing through the streets of Arua, the triplets would return home to their mother, Mama Rog. She was always waiting for them with a tired smile. Her hands smelled of oil and beans from frying a car all day. Her back ached from sitting by the roadside, and her eyes showed the weight of many silent years, but her love for her boys never changed. "Welcome, my kings," she would say, even if all they'd brought home was one torn naira note and dust on their faces. They would gather around her like birds, each one talking at once about their day, who slipped in the mud, who saw a goat chasing a woman, who got a big tip from a kind driver. After they ate, if there was food, they would lie down on the mat, listening to Mama tell stories. Sometimes she told funny tales from the village, sometimes she sang. But once in a while, the boys would ask the one question that burned in their hearts: "Mama, where is our father?" She never got angry when they asked, but she never gave full answers either. "He was a strong man, a good man," she would say softly. "He loved me, but life ... life is not always fair." "Did he die?" Kahin once asked. "No," she whispered. "He left. He had to go. He made a choice. But maybe ... maybe he didn't know I was carrying you." Tay, the bold one, asked, "Why didn't he come back? Didn't he want us?" Mama Ronk's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them with the edge of her wrapper. "Some men run when they are scared. Some chase money and forget love. But boys, remember this: you are not mistakes. You are blessings. And one day, the truth will knock." They didn't understand everything, but they knew their mother had once loved someone deeply, and that person had hurt her. Still, she never let her pain make her bitter. She worked hard, smiled through sorrow, and poured her whole heart into raising them. The boys sometimes dreamed about what their father might be like. Was he rich? Was he alive? Would he recognize them if he saw them? Did he even know they existed? These questions followed them every day, but Mama Ronk always gave them hope. "Your father is out there," she said once. "And when God says it's time, you'll meet him. Not a day too early, not a day too late." The boys didn't know it then, but that day, the day God had chosen, was already on the way. A car would soon break down. A man would soon look into their faces and feel something deep stir in his heart, and the truth would knock. Far away from the dusty streets of Arua, in the big city of Lagos, lived a man named Chief Durojaya Lade. He was rich, very rich. People called him a billionaire. He owned all companies, big buildings, and fancy cars. He wore suits that cost more than a market woman's yearly earnings, and he lived in a mansion with shiny floors and 10 rooms. He had everything that money could buy except one thing: peace. Every morning, he sat at a long dining table with plates of food he'd barely touched. He had no wife. No children ran around his house. He had workers, guards, and drivers, but no one called him daddy. No one hugged him. No one waited at the gate when he came home. People respected him. They feared him, but deep inside, Chief Durojaya was a lonely man. He often thought of the past of a young woman named Rog, who once lived in a quiet town called Arua. She had eyes like hope and a smile that warmed his chest. They were in love once, before success took him far away. He left, thinking he would return for her, but life moved fast. He chased money. He became successful, and when he went back to look for her, she was gone. He tried once. Then he got busy, too busy to keep searching. And over time, her memory became like an old photo, faded, but never thrown away. Now Chief Durojai was traveling to inspect a new land deal. He was headed toward Ibadan, and his driver had taken a shortcut through the old Arua road. As they drove along the bumpy road, the car shook. Suddenly, there was a loud hiss. Smoke began to rise from under the bonnet. The driver pulled over quickly. "Sir, something is wrong with the engine," the driver said. Durojai stepped out frowning. The heat was strong. His phone had no signal, and there were no mechanics in sight. He looked around. Just dry land, the dusty road, and a few small houses in the distance. "Where are we?" he asked. The driver replied, "Arua Road, sir, near the village." Durojai froze. Arua. He hadn't heard that name in years. Before he could say anything, he heard voices, 3 boys running toward them. At first, he thought they were just kids looking for work. But when he looked into their faces, something strange happened. Something in his heart moved. He didn't know their names. He didn't know their story. But very soon, he was going to learn that his past was standing right in front of him in the shape of 3 barefoot boys who looked too familiar to be strangers.